Hey everybody, I hope you're doing good. Today we're going to be talking about growth mindset, which is really cool. It's a great concept and something that I think is really going to help you on your journey in terms of getting your education. I know that it kind of opened my eyes to some of the thoughts that I had about my own education and about my level of intelligence. And that's what it's kind of about. It's about what intelligence is and how it's formed and how it can change over time. There are a couple of videos that I would like you to watch about growth mindset. One of them is kind of just an overview of growth mindset and the difference between growth mindset and fixed mindset. So those are the two concepts we're going to be talking about. And then the second video is actually from the author of the book, Growth Mindset. Her name is Carol Dweck, and Carol Dweck is a doctor of psychology and a teacher at Stanford University. And she's pretty famous now for her research on growth mindset with children. And so that video is actually about an experiment that she did with kids and about how they felt about their own intelligence and what sort of problems they were willing to approach based on how they were praised for their effort. So I want you to take a look at those because especially the one with Carol Dweck's research is phenomenal. And I feel like I've seen it a million times, but every time I watch that video, I am just touched by it because it really does speak to some of the things that I was told as a child that affected my ability to, put effort into the things that I was doing. And I never really knew why I chose to do one thing over another thing. So you're going to have to watch that video to understand what I mean. But trust me, it is so. If you want to watch one video this semester or this term, that's the one you want to watch. Okay. So let's talk about growth mindset. So growth mindset is basically the belief that intelligence can be changed through hard work and practice. And so that means that we believe that we are able to get smarter and change our IQ, which is your intelligence quotient. And I'm sure you've heard about IQ before, but basically the way that we measure IQ is through a series of tests. And there is a test that's appropriate for basically every age group. And it tests basically your level of intelligence by society standards. So there are some things that aren't measured by IQ, or by the IQ test, which are things like art and like whether you're good with plants or not, whether you're musical. It's basically like language arts, math, and then like maybe some basic concepts about our culture and the way things work. So some practical knowledge. So those are things, and then it also measures some things like tactile and kinesthetic, like how good are you at putting together puzzles and things like that. So there are, just tests of our memory and tests of, reaction time, how fast we can do things that go into the intelligence test. But we all know that intelligence isn't just school related intelligence. There's a wide range of different types of intelligences, but IQ really only measures some of those things, okay? But I think that Carol Dweck's research really does apply past just intelligence. But remember, when you're taking the test, that her theory does only talk about and do research on intelligence. Okay, so some of the other examples you might hear or things you might want to apply it to are great. But in terms of what she actually studied in her research, it's based on intelligence. So remember, growth mindset is the belief that intelligence can be changed through hard work and practice. Fixed mindset, on the other hand, is the belief that intelligence cannot be changed, period. There's nothing that can change it. You're born with the same level of intelligence that you're going to die with, and you can't really change that. You can't manipulate it. It just is what it is. And if you believe that you have a fixed mindset, what motivation does that give you to try harder when you're doing tasks that you are not good at or that are difficult for you? So let's say, for example, you don't like math, and math is really difficult for you. So what if you believe you have a fixed mindset, like intelligence can't be changed, that means you believe that you're always going to be bad at math if you're bad at math right now. And so you don't really have the incentive to try harder in math because if you're not going to get any better at it, then what's the point of putting in extra effort just to get more frustrated? You might do what you have to do to get through school. Maybe, you'll get tutoring, you'll get help, you'll do whatever you can. But if you don't believe that you can get any better at it, then you're probably not going to put in as much effort. And that's sort of what Carol Dweck's research is about. It's about what causes people to put in that extra effort to, to believe that they can change their intelligence. And she basically honed in on something that was really important, which is praise. How are kids praised for what they do? And if you're anything like me, I grew up in a house where I was praised for being smart. So I was a good student. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, like especially in elementary school and stuff, I would get good grades. It wasn't that difficult for me, and I would come home, and my mom would say, "Oh, Amy, you're so smart," and I would be like, "Yes, thank you, mommy. I know I'm smart." And I really took that to heart. Like, this is who I am. Being smart is part of my identity. It's who I am. Okay, and Carol Dweck is saying that is not the way to praise your kids if you want them to try hard. Because what she found in her research is that when you were praised for having a quality, then you were more likely to choose activities that were going to make you look like you had that quality. So instead of going for harder stuff that might be challenging and difficult for me, I instead probably stuck to things that I knew well so I could perform well and kind of prove to myself and others, look, guys, I'm smart. My mom said so, my teachers say so. So Carol Dweck said, let's try praising kids for their hard work instead of praising them for the end result. Oh, you're smart. And see if that changes the way that they approach problems in the future. And so you're actually going to watch that video where she shows you the research that she did and how she did it. But essentially, instead of saying you're smart, she would say things like, wow, you really put a lot of effort into that problem. Oh, look how good you are at taking the time to go step by step. Oh, look at you practicing. When you're practicing like that, I bet you're going to get a lot better. So things like that were encouraging for kids. And kids, instead of being focused on the end result like their parents were when they were saying, oh, you're smart, they were focusing on the process of learning instead of the end result of learning, you're smart. So instead of focusing on what grade they are getting or how well they perform at the task, they're focused more on the practicing of the task. How do I get better? Oh, this is challenging, but how do I solve this? How do I get around this? And when they're praised for that, well, look, you solved that problem by really thinking about what to do next. Good for you. That encouraged them to actually work on the process of learning. And when they worked on the process of learning, it led to growth. And that led to them understanding that they could get a great deal better at something by putting in effort and making progress. So that's a big contrast to fixed mindset where you believe, okay, well, you're smart and that's just how you are. And you should just be able to pull off, those problems every time. It's not about the process with fixed mindset. It's about the end result. And a lot of people say focus on the end result. That's a thing you should do. And in a lot of ways, focusing on the end result is good. But in this case, when it comes to intelligence and basically anything that we want to get better at, it's probably a better idea to focus on the process of practice. So for example, me personally, I decided one day, I woke up and decided, you know what? I want to be a writer. And I mean, I'd always wanted to be a writer, but I never thought that I could do it. I thought that other people were better at writing than I was. So I kind of thought, I'll just do something I'm good at. I was always really good with people and giving counseling and therapy and teaching. And yeah, so I'm in the right field for sure for what I'm good at. But at the same time, I also understand now that just because I'm good at one thing doesn't mean that I'm not good at other things. And just because I'm not good at other things right now doesn't mean that I can't put in the practice and hard work that it takes to get there. So once I actually discovered this growth mindset stuff, I was like, maybe I can be a writer. So thank you, Carol Dweck, for inspiring me. So I decided to start practicing. And what I did was I set aside some time every single day to practice the thing that I wanted to get good at, which was writing. And I worked for 2 hours every single day for 5 years writing on a blog. And I got a lot of followers. I think I was up to like 200,000 followers for a while before they deleted my blog. But you know what? I got better at writing. And then I thought, I'm going to actually like write a book and publish the book. So I did that. And every time I've published a book since then, I've gotten better at it. Now, I don't want to share my books with you because I write like in the romance genre, and I just don't think it's relevant. I really don't want you reading my romance books. But what I want to tell you is that I learned from Carol Dweck that practice does make perfect. And maybe not perfect, because we don't want to be perfect. We want to be the best that we can be, and perfection really isn't the goal. The goal is to keep improving. And you're never there. You're never at your peak with growth mindset, because you're always working to become significantly better than you are now. And so, really, the bar is nowhere, because you keep getting better and better and better. It isn't just like you're like, okay, I'm working. Okay, now I'm great. I don't need to work anymore. No, Carol Dweck is about growth mindset is a continuing process of intelligence. So even though I applied it to writing, and you can apply it to baseball or keyboard or whatever thing that you want to get good at, Carol Dweck really only studied this with intelligence. And she studied it with kids, which is really, really interesting. So when you take the test next week, there is going to be a question on this. Make sure that you say that intelligence is what growth mindset is about. So growth mindset is the belief that intelligence is not fixed and that it can be changed through hard work and practice. Whereas a fixed mindset is the belief that intelligence is fixed and static and cannot change. And so I hope you kind of see that maybe your parents might have said things to you that encouraged a fixed mindset in you. And they didn't do it on purpose. They were not trying to mess with you. It's just that's how they were taught. And so they didn't get this information in time to maybe help you. But if you did have a parent who actually did encourage your progress and did encourage your practice and your growth at something, then you are lucky as can be, because that means you probably understand that if you want to get better at anything having to do with school, if you want to improve your intelligence, that you're going to have to put in that practice. But when you do, it will pay off, and you can actually significantly increase your intelligence. So that is my lecture, Our Growth Mindset, and I want you to make sure you watch those videos, especially that second one about Carol Dweck's research. No matter how many times I watch that video, it always touches me, because I can see it's with children. You can see with the children that they really are learning that, the progress and the process is the important part. And I hope that you can take this information and apply this to this term here with me, here in guidance. Because if you can, and you work on practicing to get better at stuff like practicing using your day planner, and practicing completing assignments maybe before the weekend so you can actually enjoy your weekend. Just practice things like that, and you'll get better at them, and that will help you to improve as a student. All right, guys, have a great rest of the day, and I hope your growth mindsetting goes really well. Bye.